There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes not from doing too much, but from thinking too much. It lives in the gap between what you show the world and what churns endlessly beneath the surface. Silent anxiety doesn't announce itself with panic attacks or visible breakdowns. It hides in the replaying of conversations that ended hours ago. It disguises itself as preparation, as responsibility, as care. But underneath, it is a mind that never stops scanning for what might go wrong, what you might have said differently, what someone might have meant when they paused before responding. This is the reality of the anxious mind, a vigilance so constant it feels like breathing, and a weight so familiar you've forgotten what it feels like to set it down. Overthinking becomes the baseline. Rest becomes something you have to earn. And the irony is that the more you try to think your way out of anxiety, the deeper you sink into it. The mind believes it is solving problems when it is actually creating them, replaying scenarios that have already ended, rehearsing conversations that may never happen, searching for certainty in a world that offers none. What follows is not a cure, but a map, a way to understand why your mind does this and how to begin interrupting the patterns that keep you trapped in mental exhaustion. She sits at her desk long after the workday has ended, not because there is more to do, but because her mind refuses to stop. The email she sent 3 hours ago plays on repeat. Did she sound too direct, too cold? Should she have added an emoji? The other person hasn't responded yet, and that silence has become a screen onto which she projects every possible interpretation. Maybe they're upset. Maybe she misunderstood the tone of their last message. Maybe she overstepped. She pulls up the email again, reads it for the 6th time, considers sending a follow-up to clarify, then stops herself because that might make it worse. This is not indecision, it is hypervigilance. Her nervous system learned, somewhere along the way, that other people's reactions are threats to be managed. That disapproval, even imagined, is a danger worth scanning for constantly, so she reads tone into punctuation. She apologizes preemptively. She second-guesses her own thoughts before they've fully formed. Pleasing people is not kindness, it is a survival strategy. It is the belief that if you can just anticipate everyone's needs, read every microexpression, adjust yourself in real time, you can control how others feel about you. But that control is an illusion, and the cost of chasing it is a mind that never rests. Later that night, she lies in bed, scrolling through her phone, unable to sleep but also unable to do anything productive. Her body is tired. Her mind is not. It jumps from tomorrow's meeting to last week's offhand comment from a coworker to whether she should text her friend back now or wait until morning. She knows she should put the phone down. She knows she should sleep. But there is something almost reassuring about the distraction, the low hum of reassurance seeking disguised as research, as staying informed, as just checking one more thing. You have likely felt this same pressure when your mind won't stop scanning, when rest feels like negligence, when the only thing louder than the world around you is the commentary running inside your head. The mechanism beneath all of this is simpler than it seems, though understanding it does not make it easy to change. Silent anxiety operates on a flawed premise that the mind can protect you from uncertainty by thinking about it constantly. That if you just analyze enough, prepare enough, control enough, you can eliminate risk. But the anxious mind is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was trained to do. Somewhere in your history, vigilance kept you safe. Maybe it helped you navigate an unpredictable household. Maybe it allows you to manage the moods of people around you. Maybe it was the only tool you had when the world felt unstable. And so your nervous system learned to treat ambiguity as danger, silence as rejection, stillness as negligence. The mind became a smoke detector that was calibrated too sensitively, one that cannot distinguish between actual fire and the scent of something burning 3 blocks away. It sounds the alarm constantly, not because there is constant danger, but because it has forgotten how to recalibrate. The tension at the heart of overthinking is this. You are trying to control things that exist outside your control by obsessing over them inside your mind. Rumination creates the illusion of productivity. It feels like problem solving. But replaying a conversation does not change what was said. Imagining every possible outcome of tomorrow's meeting does not determine which one will happen. Scanning your body for signs of illness does not prevent illness. What it does is keep you locked in a loop where the act of thinking about the problem becomes the problem itself. Here is the shift: internal versus external control. External control is the belief that you can manage outcomes by managing your thoughts about them. That if you just worry enough, prepare enough, anticipate enough, you can prevent bad things from happening. Internal control is the recognition that you cannot control outcomes, but you can control your response to uncertainty. You cannot stop your mind from generating intrusive thoughts, but you can stop treating every thought as a fact that requires immediate action. Think of it this way: your mind is like a browser with 30 tabs open. Some tabs are necessary, others are loops of the same search query rephrased slightly differently, checking for an answer that was already insufficient the first 12 times. The exhaustion comes not from the questions themselves, but from the refusal to close the tabs. If you focus on your internal control, if you recognize that not every thought requires a response, write "I'm not broken" in the comments. That acknowledgement is the beginning of something different. It is the moment you stop fighting your mind and start understanding it. The goal is not to eliminate anxious thoughts. It is to stop letting them dictate your behavior, to stop mistaking the presence of a thought for the necessity of action, to learn slowly that you can feel uncertain without needing to resolve it immediately, that you can notice discomfort without needing to explain it away. That rest is not something you earn after you have solved every possible problem. It is something you practice even when problems remain unsolved. The shift from understanding to practice requires specificity. It is not enough to know that your mind operates this way. You must learn to interrupt the patterns in real time, and that begins with naming them. When you catch yourself replaying a conversation for the 4th time, do not judge it, name it. This is rumination. My mind is looking for certainty where none exists. When you feel the urge to apologize for something you did not do wrong, pause. Name it. This is pleasing to people. I am managing someone else's potential discomfort at the cost of my own boundaries. Naming the pattern creates distance. It allows you to see the mechanism without becoming it. The next step is to identify the hidden rule. Every anxious pattern is built on an unspoken belief about how the world works. Overthinking often rests on the belief that if you think about something long enough, you will find the right answer. Reassurance seeking rests on the belief that certainty is possible if you just gather enough information. Hypervigilance rests on the belief that other people's feelings are your responsibility. These beliefs are not conscious. They operate in the background, shaping your reactions before you are aware of them. So ask yourself, what rule is this pattern trying to enforce? What am I afraid will happen if I stop doing this? The answers are usually some version of rejection, failure, or loss of control. And the irony is that the behavior meant to prevent those outcomes often creates them. Constant apologizing makes people uncomfortable. Endless reassurance seeking exhausts the people around you. Overthinking at night prevents the rest that would actually help you think more clearly. Once you have named the pattern and identified the rule, the work is to practice a different response. This does not mean ignoring your feelings. It means creating space between the feeling and the reaction. When the urge to check your phone for the 10th time arises, pause for 30 seconds. Not to suppress the urge, but to notice it without acting on it. When the thought appears that you need to send a follow-up message to clarify something that was already clear, write the message if you must, but do not send it immediately. Wait an hour, see if the urgency fades. When you catch yourself scanning someone's face for signs of disapproval, take a slow breath and ask, is this actually happening, or is this my mind searching for a problem to solve? The goal is not perfection, it is repetition. Each time you pause, you are teaching your nervous system that uncertainty does not require immediate action. That discomfort is not the same as danger, that you can tolerate the feeling of not knowing without needing to fix it right away. Another practice, reduce the reassurance loops. Reassurance seeking feels like gathering information, but it is actually outsourcing your sense of safety to external validation. Asking, "Are you mad at me?" does not resolve the anxiety. It transfers it temporarily, and when the reassurance wears off, the question returns. Instead, practice sitting with the discomfort of not knowing. If someone seems distant, resist the urge to ask if everything is okay. Notice the anxiety. Name it, let it exist without acting on it. Most of the time, the thing you were worried about was never happening in the first place, and even when it is, seeking reassurance does not change the outcome. It only reinforces the belief that you cannot handle uncertainty on your own. Finally, practice what might be called safe pauses. Before responding to a text, before apologizing, before offering an explanation, pause, not to rehearse the perfect response, but to ask yourself, is this response necessary or is it a reflex? Am I responding to what is actually happening or to what I fear might be happening? These pauses are not delays, they are acts of internal control. They are the moments where you reclaim agency over your own reactions. How to stop overthinking is not about forcing your mind to be quiet. It is about learning to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. How to rest without guilt is not about convincing yourself you deserve rest. It is about recognizing that rest is not a reward for productivity. It is a biological necessity. How to stop pleasing people is not about becoming selfish. It is about understanding that managing everyone else's comfort at the expense of your own is not sustainable, and it is not actually kind. Your mind learned to survive this way. It learned that vigilance equals safety. That control, even the illusion of it, feels better than helplessness. That overthinking is better than being caught off guard. And for a time, maybe that was true. Maybe hypervigilance kept you attuned to shifts in mood that mattered. Maybe people-pleasing helped you navigate environments where conflict was dangerous. Maybe rumination gave you a sense of agency when everything else felt chaotic. But survival strategies that work in one context become prisons in another. The mind that learned to scan constantly for threats does not automatically learn to rest when the threat is gone. It continues scanning because that is what it knows. The good news is this: your mind learned to survive. It can learn to rest, not all at once, not perfectly, but incrementally, through repetition, through practice, through the slow accumulation of moments where you chose differently, where you paused instead of reacted, where you named the pattern instead of becoming it, where you let the uncertainty exist without needing to resolve it. This is not about fixing yourself. You are not broken. This is about updating the system, teaching your nervous system that safety is not the absence of uncertainty, but the presence of your own capacity to tolerate it. That emotional safety is not something you create by controlling the world around you. It is something you build by learning to trust yourself within it. The anxious mind is not your enemy. It is a part of you that is trying, in its own misguided way, to protect you. The work is not to silence it, but to befriend it. To thank it for its vigilance, and then gently, consistently, teach it that not every moment requires defense. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. If you found these observations helpful, subscribe to The Anxious Mind to join our community. Just remember, this content is for educational purposes and doesn't replace professional medical advice. What is one hidden rule your anxiety has been enforcing without your conscious awareness? Share it in the comments. Sometimes naming it out loud is the first step to loosening its grip. Thank you for spending this time here. The next video will explore why some people struggle to accept compliments and what that reveals about self-worth. Until then, practice the pause, practice the naming, and remember that rest is not something you earn, it is something you allow.